Germany's forgotten genocide, the describing of the historians as the first genocide of the 20th century, the symmetric murder of more than 70,000 Africans is being marked with the National Day of Remembrance for the first time in Namibia. Also, almost 40 years before their use in the Holocaust, the concentration camps and the pseudo-scientific experiment were also used by the German officials to torture and kill people in what they called as the Southwest Africa. The victims, primarily from the Ovaherero and the Nama communities, were targeted because they refused to let the colonizers take their land and cattle. The Genocide Remembrance Day in the Namibia on the Wednesday follows years of pressure on the Germany to pay the reparations. Also, the new holiday, that the national holiday, will be marked each also the year as part of the Namibia's journey of healing, including a minute silence and candlelight vigil outside the parliament in the Windhoek, according to the government. It also said that it chose the date of 28th of May because it was that day in 1907 that the German officials announced the closure of the concentration camp following the international criticism. Control over the South Africa, that is, along with its now the Cameroon, Togo and the other colonial territories, was stripped from the Germany by competing powers after World War I. For many years, Germany did not publicly acknowledge the mass slaughter that took place between 1904 and 1908, but 4 years ago it formally recognized that German colonizers had committed the genocide and offered $1.1 billion in development aid to be paid over the next 30 years, with no mention of reparations or compensations in the legal wording. Namibia declined the offer, calling it a first step in the right direction that nonetheless had failed to include the formal apology and reparations it was seeking. Many Namibians were not impressed by what they saw. That was the joke of the century. Also, Uhai Shimisa, the Kapihi, told the BBC at the time that we want our land back, money is nothing. He is an ethnic Ovaherero descendant and a town councillor in the Swakopmund, also where many of the atrocities took place, and said our wealth was taken, the farms, the cattle. Since then, a draft deal has been reached between the two nations that would include a formal apology given by Germany and which would also reportedly increase the overall sum by extra $50 million. But many Ovaherero and the Nama campaigners say that the deal is an insult to their ancestors' memory and that they were unfairly excluded from the negotiating table. News of the National Day of Remembrance being met with the cynicism with the community activists saying that restorative justice is still a long way off. Many campaigners would like to see the German government buy back ancestral lands now in the hands of the German-speaking community and return them to the Ovaherero and the Naga and the Nama descendants. Also, historians point out the irony of the German hitherto refusing to pay the reparations because also prior to the genocide, Germany itself extracted its own so-called reparation from the Ovaherero and the Nama people who had fought back against the colonizers. This was paid in the form of the livestock and amounted to 12,000 cows, which estimated by the German-American historians Thomas Kremer to somewhere between $1.2 million to $8.8 million in today's money, and which he argues should be handed and be added to the reparation bill.